Welcome to the next edition of our Foundation Speaker Series. I'm Amber Goss, and today I'm excited to be able to introduce to you a PFEW alum, Mr. Nathan Vislosky. Nathan is a petroleum and natural gas engineering graduate from the Pennsylvania State University. Nathan has had internship experiences in West Virginia, Maryland, Pennsylvania, and Texas, with opportunities to collaborate with teams all across the globe in locations such as China, India, Kazakhstan, and Russia. Nathan currently works as the product support engineer for AVEVA, where he provides product support to customers utilizing the PI system. Welcome, Nathan. Thanks for joining us today.
Glad to be here.
So as I mentioned, you're a graduate of PFEW, so let's start with the obvious. Being an alum, such as myself, can you tell me how the program affected you?
So it affected me in a number of ways. One, it really taught me the importance of networking from a young age. You meet a lot of other, successful high school students at this event, and it's really important that you learn to connect with those individuals, because something that's not really stressed when you're in high school is being able to make meaningful connections with people from a business perspective, and being able to, make those connections and then facilitate, that understanding between peers, that people may have different business interests, but you may meet them later down the line. That networking capability is something that really benefits you long term. So it's good to be able to understand that importance early on. And especially as a technical person myself, understanding the business aspect of everything and being able to collaborate with teams is something not often stressed when you're a highly technical person. So being able to balance out that business side of things along with being a technical focused individual is very helpful as well. So it really helps in a plethora of ways, but especially from a networking perspective and being able to understand how the business side of everything can still heavily affect the technical applications. And that's something that, again, in high schools and such isn't always stressed enough, where even if you have a great idea, if you don't have a great, business mindset behind it, you're not going to get as much value driven from it.
And besides PFEW, you had some pretty impressive internships during your time in high school. Can you tell us a little bit about those?
Yes. So the one internship I'd like to point to is when I was a senior in high school, I got the opportunity to intern at NASA. And in that role, I did feasibility proposals. So we'd look at different proposals that were being looked at throughout NASA for different engineering projects, and it was our job to find out if they met the criteria to feed into the critical mission. So NASA has a set of standards that is called the critical mission that says if you follow one of these guidelines, then it is something that we should look into. And then if it fits in the critical mission, is it financially feasible? Is the project able to be taken in an appropriate amount of time? Do we have the manpower? Do we have the experts that actually can execute on this project? So while it wasn't a very heavily engineering focused project, I wasn't, going out and designing anything. It was very helpful from the aspect that you're going through the process of something that's really important, which is, again, more business focused, as you're focusing on how does this affect, the organization? Are we able to actually execute on this mission? Even if it seems like something that we can do, should we do it? Is it the right timing? Is it something we need to put on the back burner for now, but maybe look at later? And if we can pull it off, how much, logistical work is going to be put in this as well. All things that, again, as an engineer later on in my career was not stressed as much, something that was really great early on to help with. And also PFEW really helped me get that internship because it was a, more business focused side of NASA. So being able to have that on my resume early on really showed that I was able to balance both, my technical expertise along with my business acumen as well.
And obviously, with internships being a crucial part of any resume, whether it's college, whether it's the job market, what advice would you give to those watching that might be looking to land an internship?
If you are in high school, the chances of getting an internship are going to be quite low. It's just the way of the game. If you're in high school, people don't expect you to have a lot of, knowledge or information that you can provide that someone else couldn't provide. But you have the benefit that you have an insane amount of time when you're in high school. When you're in high school, generally, you're going to get home, you're going to do 2 hours of homework, and then you've got the rest of your night to do whatever you want. And there's nothing stopping you from taking, a Wednesday afternoon to just look through what the requirements are for some of those high school internship programs, and then just practicing those skills. Because, I mean, for example, every single job you're ever going to have, if it's in some way, shape, or form technical, you're going to need to know Excel. So taking time to just learn Excel and practice it every day, just a little bit, maybe an hour a day, watching YouTube. There's millions of YouTube videos online that teach people how to become experts in Excel. So, looking at, what the requirements are for those jobs, learning about those requirements, and then teaching yourself them and building out a proficient resume is going to be really helpful. Because outside of doing, summer excursions and, different, learning opportunities, there's not a lot of ways to build your resume in high school. So it's really on you to build out your own projects. So you want to find ways that those job opportunities are offering, what those requirements are for those job opportunities. And then how can you build a project around those requirements? So if it requires Excel, Python, if it requires you to be able to, build a business plan, find a project online that you can build out yourself and then build that project yourself so that you can present that when you go into those high school internship interviews and say, hey, I've done this project that's incredibly similar to the work that you guys are doing, or something that displays all the skills required for those jobs, so that whenever you go in the interview, you have something to proficiently talk about outside of, generic, I played sports and I was part of the chemistry club. You need something personal that you've done your own time that really sets you apart from the crowd, that also still mates into the requirements for those internships.
And then on the flip side, if a student wouldn't land the internship, are there any words of wisdom or motivational tips that you can share for that crowd?
So the great thing about being a high schooler is, outside of the benefit of having a lot amount of time, is that you can basically go up to any, college age professor and ask them if they need help with, some type of research, or just someone to help clean up the labs. For example, I went to Pittsburgh Central Catholic, and we're very close to the University of Pittsburgh. And one of the ways that I got a little bit of experience under my belt is I just emailed University of Pittsburgh professors and said, hi, I'm interested in biology. I'm a high school student. I just need a little bit of teaching to understand what you guys are doing and learn more about it. But I'd really like to understand what you guys are doing here. And more times than I can count, they'll respond really positively with either another way that you can get involved outside of their research, or they'll let you stop by and talk to you and say, hey, obviously you're not a college age student, you don't go to the University of Pittsburgh, so we can't provide you any opportunities here, but there's this great camp that, kids do during the summer. I'd be happy to throw your name into it, and say that you took the initiative to reach out to me. But a lot of those professors, in colleges near, where you guys are growing up, have opportunities, maybe not inside the colleges, but they're well-connected people and respected in the industry. So they're going to have something available to an upcoming high schooler that is, motivated. And it's okay. You're going to get rejected when you go through these processes. There's going to be people that don't respond. There's going to be people that just, don't, respond positively to you reaching out. But more often than not, rejection is just going to be a part of the process. And people are going to respond positively when you reach out with a general amount of enthusiasm. Now, you don't want to reach out to people and send 3.5 paragraphs about how you deserve a job at Google, but it's okay to just show a general amount of enthusiasm, show that you took the time to learn about people. And it's not going to be some harsh rejection where they say, get out of my face. They're going to, you're a high schooler. They appreciate the fact that you're putting forth the effort. So don't be afraid to put yourself out there. It's going to, more often than not, turn into a positive opportunity for you.
Some great advice there. And while internships can certainly help you, there are other things students can do to sharpen their skills and learn new tools to prepare themselves for college or the job field. Tell us a little bit about those tools that you feel are important for young people.
So I think something really early on that would help is learning how to build out a proper resume and a cover letter are really key, because those are, especially because of how dynamic those things are. The way that I would design a cover letter and a resume my freshman year are completely different than how I would have designed my senior year. So getting a good foundation and what the basics are of those and how you can design them, incredibly helpful. And again, whatever career you go into will always be beneficial. Again, being able to communicate with people who are outside of your expertise or are, much higher in the, academic ladder, very, very helpful. Being able to actually have a good back and forth between you, your professors or your teachers, just being able to, establish those connections is really helpful early on. And again, I know there's a lot of kids out there that have social anxiety that are, scared to reach out, but just saying hi to your teachers every day and then, asking them, really basic stuff about like what they did for school and stuff and clubs, just being able to build that back and forth between your high school teachers, which will eventually translate into your college professors, is really important. Other skills that they could definitely work on is just being able to organize strategically. In high school, you definitely have a lot more time on your hands, but being able to strategically organize your time so that you're able to get the most done that you possibly can, it's something that in college is really beneficial, but in the workplace is even more beneficial. And I'd say the most important skill to learn is, it's not even a skill, this is just a realization that you're gonna have to come to, is that time is a commodity that you spend every single day. And if you can spend that wisely by, putting a little bit into, just self-improvement every day of some type of skill or whatever happens to benefit your major or career path, is incredibly beneficial. Just an hour a day of whatever is going to benefit your craft and make you better than your peers that are applying the same jobs is something that took me my entire college career to realize that, again, every single day I pay that price of time, and being able to invest that and think strategically is something that, takes a lot of effort to actually realize.
Great words of advice here. And of course, we want to talk a little bit about your current career. So can you tell us what made you want to be an engineer and how you got to where you are today?
Yeah. So I started off my freshman year working at Chevron as a drilling completions engineer. And there I did a lot of work with Microsoft Power BI, which is a data visualization tool. And there I focused a lot on digital transformation strategies. So effectively what I do is I took the first month to become an expert in Microsoft Power BI. So I was fluent with the tool. And then I just go from engineer to engineer, building them, different digitally enhanced workflows that would be able to pull in data for those engineers and then display it for them, or be able to automate the data pulling process so that they would be spending, instead of maybe 16 hours designing a report, it was just an instantaneous report where they just hit the refresh button and all the data would be pulled through. And then my sophomore year, I worked in a chemical engineering role with the LNG solutions team with Chevron. And there I designed a digital twin of a chemical plant in Kazakhstan, where the goal of it was to be able to run different process batches through and be able to analyze how those batches would affect the cooling units on it. And then my senior year, I worked on a project in Culebra Bluff, New Mexico, analyzing our different wells and seeing how they were performing against each other whenever they had a frac hit. And a lot of those internships focused on digital transformation. And that sophomore year internship, when I was doing digital twin modeling, had a lot to do with the Pi system. And when I was working with the Pi system, I was working a lot with OSIsoft. And OSIsoft, their whole product line really helped me throughout the internship. So from there, I kind of gained a interest in using the Pi system more. And I actually, end of my senior year, I was really interested in becoming more involved with digital transformation tools and less with the hard technical aspect of oil and gas. So I reached out to OSI and applied for a position, and I got to be a product support engineer. And now I go throughout my day, and what will happen is our systems are used for supporting anything from chemical manufacturing to people that make pastries, really anything that has to do with large amounts of data. And then our role is, when customers have issues with their Pi system, we go through and we troubleshoot the Pi system, find a solution for them, or we also assist in designing the data flows for those Pi architectures as well.
It's so impressive that you accomplished all of that in such a short amount of time. Certainly took every advantage you could throughout your high school career. Are there any last words of wisdom or pieces of advice that you would like to share with the audience?
Yes, definitely don't be afraid to reach out to your peers for advice. This is something that I learned as an engineer, is you're not going to be able to take on the world yourself. For example, when you're participating in the PFEW program, don't be afraid to make those connections and then, reach out to people for assistance. Don't be afraid to make sure that if someone's better at you than something technical or non-technical, instead of being envious of that and trying to get ahead and not asking for any advice and prove that you're better than them, start taking notes and just learn from it, because people are experts in that for various reasons. And everyone's got their own, pros and cons of what they're great and what they're not so great at. And the people that get ahead are going to be the ones that look to their peers, not as competition, but as opportunities to learn.
Excellent advice. Well, we want to thank you, Nathan, for taking time out of your busy day to join us. We truly appreciate that, and we appreciate you being involved with the foundation here.
Thank you. It was great being here.
If you're interested in connecting with Nathan, or if you have any additional questions about internships or careers in engineering, he would be happy to have you reach out to him. We will be displaying his contact information at the end of this video, or you can reach out to our offices to be connected directly with him. Thanks for watching.